I'm Andy Katz from ESPN, along with my co-host Rick Klein of ABC News. On the latest edition of Capital Gain, we're going to discuss President Trump's controversial executive order. We'll discuss it with Iowa's Peter Jock and SI.com's Michael McCain.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. I usually don't start off my show with a guest because, after all, it's the Stephen A. Smith Show. And I'm not going to lie, I don't like to share the airwaves too much. You have to be very, very special. We're coming at you live from Houston, Texas, live from Radio Row in Houston, Texas, site of Super Bowl 51. By the way, the show, this is the home, live from Houston, home of the Texas Medical Center, the world's largest medical center, in innovative solutions to providing and improving of health and humanity. Let me make sure I throw that out there because these are the folks that pay the bill, and they're big time. They're serious. But let me get back to you because I didn't even tell y'all who my guest is. This is a special moment for me because I don't start off my show with guests. It's the Stephen A. Smith Show. The people call and listen to me. They dial in to listen to me. Okay, so for me to share the airwaves, you got to be special. And Hines Ward, a two-time Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, would certainly qualify during Super Bowl week. Big boy, what's going on, man? How you doing?
It's such an honor to be here on your show, Stephen A. I mean, you're hotter than Kevin Hart right now.
I doubt that.
Yeah,
Can I get a check? Can I get a check? I got the big boss right near me. I got to get Kevin Hart on the phone, find out what he making, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about
it. Stephen A. Show is the one. I'm telling you, man, this guy's hot right now. So it's an honor for me. I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you. We've known each other for a very long time.
Long time.
You're a rough rider. You went on the field. You played no games. You handled your business. You're here Super Bowl week.
Yes.
These Falcons,
yes,
these Patriots, handicap this game for me. Tell me what you're seeing.
Man, it's going to be a good one. It's hard for me to bet against Tom Brady. He's done it for so many years. He beat us for so long. I've lost to him twice in the AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. I've hated on him during Deflategate. Airing the ball, not in the ball. This guy's hands down the best in the business, man. I can't hate on Tom Brady anymore. I grew up a Falcons fan, living in Atlanta. I was Deion Sanders, Fulton County Stadium, too legit to quit, MC Hammer, all that. So my heart is always with Atlanta Falcons, but like I said, I just don't bet on the Patriots and Tom Brady, man. It's just so special.
As I watch this game, in the process of unfolding, here's my issue. I think Atlanta's the more talented team.
They are.
When I look at the Falcons, I see a secondary that's vulnerable because they youth. See, and it's all because of their youth. I know they're talented. I'm not questioning their talent. Yes. I'm just sitting there saying, young bucks, wet behind the ears, breath smelling like Similac. You ain't never been here before,
exactly.
And you going up against Tom Brady. How in God's name am I supposed to pick you? I'm just. So help me out here, Hines Ward. If there is a way, if Atlanta can find a way to pull this out, how can they do it?
They have to keep Tom Brady off the field. You got to keep Tom Brady off the field. Just like Steelers. I thought our Steelers, had a great chance, right?
Yes.
Explosive offense. Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Big Ben. We had a young secondary, and they picked us apart.
Right.
They picked us apart with the young secondary. We didn't know what coverage to play Tom Brady. He picks us apart. You can't get to him. If you don't get pressure to Tom Brady, he'll tear you up.
We're talking to the great Hines Ward, two-time Super Bowl champion, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's retired now, worked on NBC before, working on CNN now with Robert Meade.
HLN, and now I'm here with PepsiCo.
There we go, PepsiCo.
I'm doing it all.
See, you're doing it all.
I'm not at your level.
Oh, stop it.
But you inspire me.
I ain't never been on network television. Hines Ward right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. You know what? Yeah. Before we get back to the Super Bowl, you brought up the Steelers.
Yes.
I'm a diehard Steelers fan, lifelong.
Yes.
You know what you are.
Yes.
I'm very, very disgusted with them right now.
Yes.
You got Martavis Bryant, who couldn't stay off the weed.
Yeah.
I got Antonio Brown doing Facebook Live posts while his coaches talking to the team saying no social media, okay? I mean, Le'Veon Bell with the hamstring, and to say the young defense. I mean, they got to the point where they were talking about Big Ben. They had Big Ben talking about retiring. Yeah. I mean, that's how bad it was. Now, do you think Big Ben is going to be back next season, and why? And if you do believe he's going to be back, why do you think he said what he said about retirement?
I would be shocked if he's not back. Two things. One, the money. There's $18 million on the table.
Yeah,
And
he ain't going
Stephen A,
nowhere.
You know, you
Yeah, right.
can't even touch a quarterback, so you don't have to worry about his health. You get fined or penalized touching a quarterback. But then you have Martavis Bryant coming back. You have Antonio Brown. They'll get the deal done to lock him up. Le'Veon Bell will be back. So you still have the pieces to make another run, another year or two with those pieces. So I don't see him not coming back.
I'm sure you're familiar with Mr. Ron Cook.
Yes.
Columnist at Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Say what you want about him. The man has been around for years. You have to respect anything that comes out of his mouth or that he puts pen to paper about in regards to the Steelers.
Yeah.
He said it might be time to get rid of Antonio Brown rather than give him $45 million. To that, Hines Ward, former wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, says what?
That's tough. I mean, you got to give him his money because he's talented. But the problem is how can you control a guy that you give guaranteed money to? You know, if there is a problem behind the scenes that no one's talking about, if you talk about the Facebook Live and some of the selfishness things that are coming out of Pittsburgh, imagine you giving him guaranteed money. It's not going to get any better, right? He's still going to control it, but at the same time, he's a great player.
Right.
I look at him and I look at T.O. Right. T.O.'s a great player.
But from a macro perspective, as a guy that played in this league, do you not find yourself thinking that some of us make far too much out of this stuff than it really is? Yeah. I mean, if everybody got to be a choir boy, why the hell do I need you as a coach or a coordinator or anything like that? I mean, damn, don't you know how to work with talent that causes you a headache sometimes? I got a boss sitting in front of me. I can promise you he'll tell you a couple of times he needed Advil, extra strength Tylenol, or something like that. tzwFyI, my boss, is sitting right in front of me.
You need that edge, though. You need that
That's what I'm
edge,
trying to say. I
you
promise you he'll tell you he had to take some headache medication because of me. But I'm still here. I mean, what's the problem?
Exactly.
What's wrong with these people?
I don't see that. AB is a Steeler. I mean, he deserves to be a Steeler. He's a huge playmaker. I just don't see them letting that talent go. There's no way.
They can't do it.
Can't do it.
What you going to do, rely on Martavis Bryant? I mean, do we need to get started? I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice.
But I understand you, though. I understand because you're one test away from being.
How about that?
Yeah. So
banned for the year?
Yes.
Banned for the year.
Yeah.
Randy Gregory, Dallas Cowboys. You understand what I'm saying?
I understand.
That's right. That's
I
right.
get it. That's
Stephen
why
A.
you Stephen A.
Stephen A. Smith Show. Right here on ESPN Radio. Back to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Matt Ryan, he's the MVP for you this year?
I think so. I just think, you look at all the pieces that they have. This is a nightmare for Coach Belichick. Who do you stop? I mean, Coach Belichick's always known for taking away the best option. Well, look at the Falcons roster. You got a lot of options. You got Coleman, you got Freeman, you got Sanu, you got Julio. Who do you stop? You got Gabriel in the slot.
I'm getting on you about something.
Right.
The Hines Ward that I know, the Hines Ward that I know and love, would look at a matchup like this, and if he were playing for New England, he'd go like this. That don't mean anything. Because they got to get on the field. If you punch them in the mouth, everybody all right till they get hit. I didn't hear you say that. Have you gone soft on me?
No, I haven't.
You sure?
But you just cut me off like you always do.
I'm sorry.
Because you just want to get your chime in.
I got you.
Let me finish.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
At the end of the day, it's still Coach Belichick and it's still Tom Brady. Coach Belichick, he don't care. You just get in. You still got to play football. You line up. We go man to man. We probably aren't as talented to go man-to-man, but we're going to pick and choose how to get after Matt Ryan. We're going to disguise coverage, and we're going to challenge all these guys. That's how you beat a great quarterback. Pressure, bust pipes. That's how you do it.
You see, I never heard you say that on NBC. See, if I was there with you, you'd said that. You'd said that. But
you bring it out of me.
I bring it out of you. I bring it out of you. Hines Ward right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. So you're picking the Patriots.
I'm picking the Patriots. By a close one, though.
By a close one.
Yeah. 27-24.
How? Tom Brady game-winning drive, or Matt Ryan can't get it done against the Patriots defense late? Which way?
Tom Brady drive.
So they'll be down, and Tom Brady brings it back.
Field goal. I think it'd be tied with 30 seconds.
That's a very safe prediction.
No,
that's a very safe prediction.
I've seen it. It's the same story. I've seen it over and over and over. I just seen it.
Love you, bro.
Always
appreciate you, man. Thank
Hottest
you so
guy
much.
going. Hotter than Kevin Hart.
Oh, there we go. I'm going to call Kevin. tzwFyI. That's the money man right there. That's the money man.
What's that? Rounders? Give him his money.
Hines Ward right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio live from Super Bowl Row in Houston. Site a Super Bowl 51. The biggest medical center on earth isn't found on the East Coast or the West Coast. It's found in Houston, Texas, America's third coast. Houston is home to the Texas Medical Center, or TMZ is what they call it. It's the largest medical city on the planet. Each year, the TMC's 21 hospitals serve over 8 million patients. Its 3 medical schools and 6 nursing schools educate tomorrow's medical leaders. More doctors, nurses, and scientists work at the TMC than any other site in the world. With over 100,000 employees, it's the 8th largest business district in America. Every 3 minutes, a surgery begins at TMC. Every 20 minutes, a baby is born. The Texas Medical Center leads the world in clinical research. TMC doctors and scientists are at the forefront of life-saving medical advances, developing new treatments, drugs, and devices to improve the health of humanity. So find out more about the innovations happening at the Texas Medical Center at TNC.edu. It's Stephen A. It's Super Bowl Roll in the house right here live from Houston, Texas, site of Super Bowl 51. My man Hines Ward
He does his own
was
commercial
in there.
too.
My man Hines Ward
does it
was
all,
sitting
I'm
next to
telling
me.
you.
Boy, I feel special. Back with your calls and more in a minute.
Hey, listeners, this week on the Low Post podcast, we have Chris Herring from 538 talking Carmelo Anthony and the Knicks and the teams we're worried about around the NBA.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Just meeting an individual. He's a heavyweight contender in Bellator MMA. Matt Metrione. He's fighting February 18th on Spike TV. Just honored me with his presence, came over here and introduced himself. Very, very nice guy. Wishing him luck. So thanks again to the kind words he extended to me. I really, really appreciate it. But he's going up against that kid Fedor. I mean, this dude is the GOAT. Considered one of, if not the greatest ever. So, you know, he's got a tough matchup, but I wish him nothing but the best. No question about it. Back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. We're live from Radio Row in Houston, site of Super Bowl 51. Let's get to the phones at 866-729-ESPN, 866-729-3776. Let's go to Mike in Denver. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Mike? What's going on, big brother? How are you?
I'm doing fine, man. Two quick questions.
Yes.
Things before we start.
Yep.
Man, you was fine as ever again on First Take this morning. And Hines Ward was right. You the hottest man in the business.
Thanks a lot. I'll never say I'm hotter than Kevin Hart. When I get his check, somebody call me. Until that time, he's the hottest man in America. No question.
Yeah. But, I just wanted to chime in on the Super Bowl, man. I think it's going to be an interesting Super Bowl, Stephen A. We
Okay.
got Tom and Bill trying to slow down Julio.
No. Let me stop you. Let me stop you right now. I'm going to get on you right now. I don't want to hear interesting. That's safe, Mike. Who you got? Don't give me it's going to be an interesting Super Bowl. I mean, what is this, a session with Dear Abby or Dr. Oz or somebody? I need a prediction.
I got the Patriots, man. But why I said interesting is because I believe Patriots going to pull it off. They're going to take Julio and them boys out the game. And our ability to take them do it, I don't know. But they're going to do it again, man.
Well, I'm just saying I needed to hear that from you. I mean, because you just called up stuff sounding all PC and everything. I mean, what the hell is this, CNN? I mean, no, this is Stephen A. Smith Show. I need a prediction, okay?
Hey, man, I'm rolling with Tom and the boys, man.
All right, man. All right, that's all I wanted to hear. I'll holler at you later, man. I appreciate your call and send your brother my love. Tell him I'm always thinking about him. Thanks a lot, man. Rick/Skip in D.C. I knew you'd be calling back. Why am I surprised? I'm so surprised. What's up, man?
Well, I ain't calling to tell you how much I love you. I'm calling to tell you how much the Dallas Cowboys are still the best team in the NFL.
Oh,
you know,
God.
and what's this I hear you thinking Romo gonna be? We need to get rid of Romo, trade him to Denver, and let's be done with it.
Hold on. I agree with that.
Let's do what we gotta do.
Hold on, Rick. I agree with that. I didn't disagree about that Romo point.
Oh, okay. I thought I heard that on first take.
You hearing it from you heard it from Max. You hear it from me. I mean, you know, listen. Max is struggling a little bit because, you know, you going up against the GOAT. That would be me. You getting beat down a little bit. I understand.
Right.
I understand. We understand. I mean, you take too many headshots. I mean, sometimes you get a bit discombobulated. I'm just messing with him. Max is doing great, man. He's doing great.
I think I got Atlanta in the Super Bowl, man. You know, I got Atlanta going on the Super Bowl.
Well, you know what that means, right? that means Atlanta going to lose. Because all you Cowboy fans, you don't matter. Y'all stink. I can't stand you delusional Cowboy fans. Y'all make me sick. I'm so happy that you lost. The misery that you felt, the fact that you disappeared. I mean, for all I know, you might have broke off your engagement. That's how devastated you are. And I would have been happy about it for a little while, Rick, because I love the fact that you Cowboys fans suffer. Y'all are the worst. You just called up here, we going to win again after you lost. Yeah. You didn't win a playoff game yet again.
That's right. But listen, everybody knows we're America's team. You know,
no, we don't know that.
To be there because, you know,
let me ask you a question.
Went down, all the bets went down when the Cowboys lost. Everything.
Rick, it's a simple question. Do you consider America a great country, yes or no?
Yes, I do.
You consider. So tell me what on earth do the Dallas Cowboys have being associated with greatness? We all know that's not true. We all know that's not true.
We got 3 Super Bowls in the 90s.
Listen. I'm sorry. Back then, my hairline was about 3 feet forward. It don't count. It don't count, Rick. It don't count. I mean, unless I go get a toupee or something like that, some extensions, hair club for men or something.
We already know you emotional. We already know why you don't like the Cowboys, because your little girlfriend was a Cowboy fan. Yeah. We know it was something emotional.
Why you got to go there? You don't have to go there. You don't have to go there, Rick. You don't have to get low. You pulled the LeBron on Barkley with me on that one. You pulled the LeBron on Barkley with me on that one. Goodbye, Rick. I'll talk to you tomorrow. I'm telling you, the Cowboy fans, I can't stand them. I just can't stand them. All of them make me sick. They just make me sick to the core. 866-729-3776. It's 866-729-3776. Let's go to Adrian, a guy named Adrian in Portland. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Adrian?
Stephen A., I hope you're doing well.
Thank you. Go ahead, man. By the way, y'all need to get some bass in y'all voice when y'all call up on this show. And number 2, you need to have something to say. I'm tired of y'all acting like y'all just want to call in just to say hello. I appreciate the love. I like the fact that y'all got love for me. But damn it, when you call into the show, I need you to have something to say. Get to it.
All right, I have something to say.
Hurry up.
I just think that Belichick will switch things up on Atlanta, and I think that New England will start with the ball first. New England's known for not receiving the ball to start the game. And I just think that Atlanta will play catch-up in the Super Bowl, and I think that'll go advantage New England.
Hold it. Do you realize what you just said, Adrian?
Yes.
You basically just said when you dissect and pick apart and listen with a third ear, as my man Joe Madison says every morning on SiriusXM's Urban View channel, you basically just said that the New England Patriots are going to win the Super Bowl because they're going to win the coin toss. That's basically what you just said. How long?
Yes.
Really? That's all you got?
Atlanta's known for having the ball first and marching down to get cut.
Call me back tomorrow, man. Think about your point a little bit better before you roll up on me with that. The New England Patriots going to win because of the coin toss. What's wrong with these people, Jonathan? What's wrong with these people? 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-ESPN. This is Stephen A. Smith Show. My next guest, frat brother. Got nothing but love for my brother right here. As real as they get. I know if I'm a quarterback, I want him blocking for me. The one and only Willie Colon. Right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio. Back with him in a minute.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Man, kick that music, Nuno. I mean, do you understand who the host of this show is? We don't dial down that music. We pump it up.
Already.
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, 98.7 FM in New York, 710 ESPN LA, and, of course, SiriusXM, ESPN Radio, Channel 80. Roo! My man.
What up?
Offensive lineman, New York Jets, formerly of the Pittsburgh Steelers,
right.
The one and only Willie Colon in the house. What's going on, big time? How are you, man?
I'm good, bro.
Look, now, you know, we going to start off on a low note and build it up to a high note. The low note is them damn Jets of yours. I mean, Lord have mercy. What the hell happened this year? We expected after a 10-6 season, it was going to be so much better. I mean, my prayers were out to you. I was so disgusted with some of your teammates. I didn't know what to do with myself. What happened?
Well, you know, obviously I didn't make it back and try to get back on the field this year.
Yep.
I think the most troubling thing I've heard was after week 3, this team tapped.
Right.
And when I heard that, it made bigger calls. I was like, listen, man, what's going on in the locker room? And I reached out to some of the guys.
Yep.
And they was like, listen, Willie, injuries. Fitz didn't show up to play.
Yep.
Brandon
as much as I love Brandon, he was the only vocal leader we had in that locker room.
Right.
Nick Mango is not a vocal leader, neither is Darrelle Revis.
Right.
However, Brandon's method became toxic, and his timing was bad. But I think his heart was always in the right place.
Right.
And so when you deal with the Sheldon Richardsons and the Muhammad Wilkinsons and him all kind of in one pot, it just became really toxic. And I think right now this offseason is ultimately going to talk about Todd Bowles' legacy going forward. Can he right this ship? Because a year ago we were loving him.
Yes.
He had one bad season.
And now they talk about
they
ready
ready
to
to
get
dog
him out of here.
So I think that's unfair to him. I think him and McCann is going to need this time to kind of rebuild his team and find a quarterback.
It's unfair to Todd Bowles, who I love, but I got to tell you this. He's got to be more assertive publicly.
Okay.
And by that I mean
that's not everybody's demeanor.
I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. But here's what I mean. My issue is that I know the man knows football.
Sure.
I know the man is accomplished, and I know he deserved the opportunity that he got.
Correct.
But because he comes across so mild-mannered, you got cats that tested him because of the way they behaved.
Without a doubt.
And that's what I mean by that.
Right.
Because if he loses his job with the New York Jets, it ain't going to be because you had a struggling season. It's going to be because ownership is questioning your ability to lead because of how guys are acting.
And 100%. I remember when I was with the Jets, I told Sheldon Richardson personally, I was like, Sheldon, this can be your team. But one thing you can't have is lack of accountability. You have to be on time for meetings, weight lift, or so on and so on. This team was ready to be handed over to him. Sheldon's a hell of a player.
Yes, he is.
Comes from a beautiful family.
Yes, he does.
He just has knucklehead tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
And to be a leader, you can't have that. And that's one of the things I felt that's what hurt Rex. Rex had a hard time really putting a hammer on a guy like Sheldon and most some of these guys. And so when Todd came in, I was happy because he did have their he did handle the IK situation extremely well.
Yes. When IK and Impala broke the jaw of Geno, which Geno deserves, by the way.
We talked about that.
Go ahead.
You got to be careful. If you want to talk to anybody reckless, don't talk to a 250-pound Nigerian linebacker who's about that life.
Who you owe money to.
Who you owe money to.
Owe money
so
to.
It's I'm interested to see what Todd and McCagnon do in the offseason. We need a quarterback. We have to address our tight end issue, and going forward, it's going to be a hell of a ride for them.
So what's the future for you? Because you didn't play last season.
I didn't play.
What are we talking? Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. 2015.
Yeah. I tried to get back on the field. My knees couldn't do it.
Right.
I know you're a big advocate. You got to talk. You got to start worrying about mortality after the game and ability to walk and be around your family. That came into question, so I had to hang it up, man. I just had to kind of – so now I'm trying to be like you, roll with you in the whole media world.
Well, I think you're doing it now.
Thank you,
I mean, as a matter of fact, I'm ready to push you off the damn show right now because you sounded too good. You sounded too good. They might decide to give you the damn show instead of giving it to me.
Listen, man, I'd rather you lead. I just come out the bullpen. Trust me.
Willie Colon right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Let's get into the Super Bowl a little bit because as you watch this thing unfold, we're hearing two things. We're hearing about the talent of the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
The experience of the New England Patriots. What are you riding with in that category, those two comparisons?
Well, I'm a little biased.
Okay.
Dan Quinn recruited me to Hofstra.
Okay.
He sat on my mama's couch and was like, listen, we want you to be we want you to roll up with the pride. I did that.
Okay.
I know Raheem Morris really well, know Lance Schultz, so I have a little bit of an emotional connection.
Okay.
But from a football standpoint, if you talk about Matt Ryan, what I was really impressed by him, he said, what made your previous years this year different? He said, listen, I had to learn how to play with my back to the defense, play action, overloading one side, allowing my receivers to do what they do, and I just had to find them. So Dan Quinn, all he had to do was come in and be like, listen, do your side, I'm going to handle this side. I think he was able to kind of get this defense going. They do a great job of getting turnovers when it counts. Are they the best defense? No. But I feel like they play big enough when the time counts. So for me going into it, I just want to see this team just stay the par. And I think Belichick is the best second-half football coach that's ever played. You give him he's going to take your best shot in the first half. That second half, he's going to absolutely decapitate you. So can Dan Quinn combat that? And I think it's going to be a tight game.
Let me tell you why I think your synopsis there was a bit too emotional.
Okay.
Let me tell you why.
Well, I started off saying I have emotional.
I know that you didn't front, but the bottom line is I'm going to tell you why I think it was flagrantly obvious. Because you didn't bring up the biggest and strongest point about Dan Quinn that you could have brought up. The man is, he was in the Super Bowl 2 years in a row with Seattle as the defensive coordinator. Right. And over the last 3 years, he's beaten Peyton Manning, He should have beat Tom Brady if Pete Carroll doesn't make the stupidest call and get the ball to beast mode from the half-yard line after he just ran 4.5 yards on the previous play. And then this year he beat Russell Wilson.
He did.
And then Aaron Rodgers. You didn't bring up any of that. Why not?
Because I played against Tom, and Tom is different.
Tom's different than Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, Tom's a little bit different, bro.
This is blasphemy.
Listen,
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Tom is different.
I'm listening.
I've seen it. I've been around it. There's very few players in this league, and I know A-Rod is up there, and there's very few players that it's not them putting on the cape. They make everybody around them better from a standpoint how they execute, how they demand in the huddle, and their sense of urgency in crucial situations.
This is a New York Jet talking to me. This is a New York Jet talking to me, man.
I've seen it, and I've seen them flat out. There's just another level in Tom. And I just feel like Tom's that guy. But if anybody I give a shot to beat him, I give Matty Ice.
The thing that drives me crazy about Tom Brady, and I got mad love for him, he's a great, great quarterback. I understand it.
Right.
But, my goodness, he ain't running nowhere. You're standing right there in the pocket. So I'm sitting there going like this. If you just put a hat on him enough, somebody, the Giants proved it twice.
Right, but that's always – look, Garrett Blunt. He's a chain mover. He's that kind of balance for Tom where he doesn't have to sit there and throw the ball 50 times, 56 times a game. They can combat it with the run game. And, listen, Edelman is a beast, flat out. Their connection's a monster. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
How about this dude Logan that had 9 receptions for 180 yards out of nowhere? This dude was playing lacrosse in college.
Monmouth.
Lacrosse.
With Miles Austin.
Yes.
For Christ's sakes. Yeah.
Yes.
Belichick. I played with Stephen Ridley. He was with the Jets, and I asked him this question. I said, bro, why are they so good, honestly? I played against him being a Steeler, Jets. He goes, Brady and Belichick, they're just on the same level. They see the same thing. He is the coach on the field. They just get it. They just have this connection, and they just trickle it down to everybody else. Where if you're not in their pursuit of excellence, you stick out.
Break this down to me as a guard, as an offensive lineman, being in that huddle. What makes Tom Brady so special compared to others? Like you played with Big Ben Roethlisberger. Right. Now Big Ben Roethlisberger is a 2-time Super Bowl champion and a future Hall of Famer who is never mentioned in the same breath as Tom Brady. Tell me what the difference is being in a huddle with Big Ben Roethlisberger, no disrespect, and being in a huddle with Tom Brady. What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Break it down.
Well, obviously Tom doesn't hold on to the ball. A big part of Ben's game is improvising. That's what makes Antonio Brown so great and the weapons around Ben. Tom knows where he's going with the ball. He's extremely accurate. His mechanics are flawless. The thing I loved about Ben playing for him, if you had a bad day, he could cover it up with his play. He stepped it up. Tom has that same ability, but Tom is a finisher too. He doesn't leave you. If you hang out there, he's going to chop your head off. He's accurate. He gets it done. He knows the sense of urgency.
But I'm talking about up here. If you go in the huddle, like, for example, when they talk about Joe Montana when he was in the Super Bowl years ago and they were down and they had to have that game-winning drive against Cincinnati, and he hit John Taylor for the winning touchdown. They talked about how Joe Montana went in there and was bringing up the comedian that he saw, John Candy, in the audience and stuff like that. He's just Joe Cool.
Stephen A. Wood, we won the Super Bowl. San Antonio's big catch.
Yes.
Before that
against
drive,
Arizona.
Larry Fitz goes house with it. Takes a straight yard, score. We're down. I think it's like 1:19 on the clock. I'm sitting on the bench next to my right guard, Darnell Saberton. We had been in that position before. I look at Darnell. We go, bro, let's just go do it again. We're about to get on the field. Ben goes in front of us. He goes, listen, we've been here, done that. Don't blink. Let's just go. Nothing to talk about. Because at this point, once you've done it, it's no different. You just got to execute.
Yeah, but were you a little nervous?
Never.
Never a little. Because of Ben.
Because Ben, the look in his eye was like, what else can we do but not go win this thing?
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean?
Oh, my God, I just thought about something. Because Willie Colon is my boy, a future star in this business, doing what we're doing right now, talking on radio and television. My heart just sunk for you because I just said, wait a minute. He's played against Brady. He's played with Big Ben Roethlisberger. And, oh, my God, he went from that to Geno Smith and Ryan Fitzpatrick. Oh, my Lord. Oh my goodness. I mean, are you okay?
Yeah.
The hell with all. Are you okay? I'm here for you, bro.
That's why I'm retired.
Give me your hand. Give me your hand. Are you
knees
okay?
can't hold on no
Are you
more.
okay, man? Oh, Lord. What a drop-off. I just thought about it. Why didn't I think about it? He goes from Big Ben to that.
The most emotion.
No
huh?
wonder you retired.
Yeah.
You want no damn
My
injury.
knee-
Tell the
my
truth.
knee
It's
couldn't hold
psychological.
it.
It's psychological, right? Tell
Listen,
the
man,
truth.
I got New York pride, so I was riding on pride, but my knees are on brakes. That's the problem.
We got to keep talking, man.
Love.
Keep doing your thing.
Thank
you know
you,
it.
my
The one and
brother.
only Willie
Love.
Colon right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio. 866-729-ESPN is the number to call up. This 866-729-3776. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, football players are people too. Willie Colon subjected to Ryan Fitzpatrick and Geno Smith. Life is cruel sometimes, damn it. Life is cruel. Your phone calls in more in a minute.
Reverse jam brings them to their feet here in Cleveland.
LeBron James and the Cavaliers once again have the best record in the Eastern Conference and are storming toward the 1 seed.
Hits it at the buzzer.
Do they have what it takes to repeat as champions?
Kyrie Irving. Come on. Hangs and hooks it in. Are you kidding me?
Seriously? This Saturday night, they head to the Garden to face the Knicks. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC. You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Always great having these guys on Hines Ward, Willie Colon. Sorry he's injured, had to retire, but damn it, he might have been done a favor the way the New York Jets looked last season. No question about that. Stephen A. Smith Show right here on ESPN Radio, 98.7 FM in New York, ESPN LA, 710, and of course, Sirius XM, ESPN Radio, Channel 80. Back to the phones we go at 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. Let's go to Michelle in New Jersey. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. Michelle, good afternoon. How are you? Michelle, I can barely hear you. I'm sorry. Could you speak up, please?
Oh, I'm sorry, Stephen A. I had one speaker.
Go ahead. No problem. Go ahead.
Okay, so, well, basically, I just wanted to call in because I had a comment about this whole Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady situation that you and Matt keep going back and forth about, that Aaron Rodgers is the best. I don't understand that.
No, to clarify my comments, what I've said was from a talent perspective, in terms of scrambling in the pocket, outside the pocket, running to your left, running to your right, dancing around in the pocket, et cetera, from a talent perspective, Aaron Rodgers is the greatest I've ever seen. His resume does not compare to Tom Brady because Tom Brady has all those Super Bowl rings. But Tom Brady is purely a passer. He's not somebody that can run with the football. He's not someone
who can. And that's why I don't understand. I'm sorry to cut you off. That's why I don't understand the comparison. They're two completely different quarterbacks. They have two different styles of play. So how do you put them in the same category? I don't understand how you put them.
To answer your question, you put them in the same category because they both play the same position, and then you dissect and analyze what the position requires. Now, some guys are assisted by great coaching, some guys are assisted by great teammates, some guys just have it. And when you think about Aaron Rodgers, I think from a talent perspective, it is what it is. We can look at guys. It's just like comparing LeBron to a Jordan or a Kobe and things of that nature. People draw their conclusions based on what the eye sees. And the eye test tells me that from a talent perspective, the combination of being on the move or standing still, inside or outside the pocket, flicking that ball with accuracy, downhill, short yardage, long yardage situations, etc. Aaron Rodgers is the greatest talent I have ever seen in my life. Tom Brady is great, but he has the benefit of playing for arguably the greatest coach ever in Bill Belichick.
But okay. That in that respect, I agree with you as far as his coach. But
we just have to respectfully disagree, Michelle. See, this is
Michelle.
Michelle, may I say this? May I say this? May I say this, Michelle? Michelle, may I say this with all love and respect? This is where beautiful women such as yourself have to sit up there and recognize. Listen, we at some point in time we're going to have to respectfully disagree. Are you married, Michelle? Are you married, Michelle?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet.
Oh,
But you have a wonderful, lucky man, don't you? Now, based on what I'm getting, what did you say, Michelle? What did you say?
I said, yes, and he's a Jet fan, so you know he's dying right now.
Oh, he should be dying. They're horrible right now. But let me say this, Michelle. It sounds to me, I could be wrong, Michelle, but it sounds to me like when y'all disagree, the discussion doesn't end until he says, yes, dear, I understand. Am I wrong? Am I wrong?
Stop it. Well,
am I wrong, Michelle?
You have met me and my fiance.
Oh, no, Michelle, would your fiance agree with me? Yes or no?
He may.
Thank you, Michelle. Come on now, girl. Thank you so much for calling. Call back.
I just have to because okay, I agree. Aaron Rodgers is extraordinary talent, and athletically he has Tom Brady beat. But I think that as far as accuracy, arm strength, the intangibles, I don't see where he beats them out so bad.
Michelle, I have to go, but I must say this. You asked your question. You gave your point of view. I gave such a profound response that it actually caused you to stutter, then pause, then bring up your fiance. And still, after all of that, you came back with the same explanation you gave me before, which proves my point, Michelle, and that is this. You need me to say, yes, Michelle, before you're satisfied. Otherwise, you're not going to be satisfied with anything that I say. Here's the difference. He's your fiance. I'm not. But it doesn't mean I don't love you. And it doesn't mean I don't appreciate you and respect where you're coming from. But your fiance has to answer to you, not Stephen A. Hour number 2 up next on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Don't touch that dial.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on SiriusXM Channel 80 and the ESPN app. Sunday, DeAndre Jordan and the Clippers head to Boston to face Isaiah Thomas and the Celtics. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC. Sunday, DeAndre Jordan and the Clippers head to Boston to face Isaiah Thomas and the Celtics. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Oh, stop the presses. Stop the presses. Hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show right here with you on ESPN Radio. 98.7 FM, New York. 710 ESPN LA, and of course ESPN Radio SiriusXM, Channel 80. This is the Stephen A. Smith Show live from Houston, Radio Row, site of Super Bowl 51, home of the Texas Medical Center, the world's largest medical city, dedicated to improving the health and wellness of the world. I will get back to this subject a little bit later because I got a special guest, but I want the world to know, just stop the presses, the city of Los Angeles, the city of angels, the second largest market in the United States of America, you have been saved. News just announced a few minutes ago, the one and only Earvin Magic Johnson will return to the Los Angeles Lakers to assist Jeannie Buss in all areas of basketball and business as an advisor. Look, ladies and gentlemen, what this means is that the more Magic Johnson, the less Jerry Buss. That's what this means. The less Jim Buss, I'm sorry. That's what this means. And good Lord have mercy. Boy, does it need it. I'll get back to that subject a little bit later. But in front of myself right now, running back for the New York Giants, Jennings. What's going on, big time? How are you, man?
I'm good, man. Appreciate you.
You look cool. It's always good to see you. But you know me well enough to know, damn it, the last time I saw y'all, it was against the Packers. What happened? What happened in that game?
We didn't make enough plays, man. We left too many opportunities out there, too many missed blocks, missed runs, drop balls, and that added up to the end of the game with us taking an L.
Did you feel that the story was overblown too much about Odell Beckham Jr., Victor Cruz, Sterling Shepard, and those boys going to Miami on a Monday? It was an off day. They ain't break any rules or anything like that. But they went on an off day, the week of a game, first playoff game for those guys. Not Victor Cruz, of course. Did you feel that was overblown?
I mean, to a degree, yeah. Obviously, the media did a good job of it's clickbait. I mean, it's a hot topic. It is the playoffs. We have Odell Beckham Jr. and Cruz and Shep. Those are some high caliber names that people like to talk about. So obviously, it was blown out of proportion. Did it equivalent to our loss? No. 6 games prior to, I can't see that being a reason, especially when the guys come out to practice, flying around, catching every ball, high energy, on time, all the things throughout the course of the year they've been doing. So it doesn't equivalent. Cruz did come out and say that if he could rewind the tape, he would have done it differently as all the other guys. So, but it's New York. It's New York.
Well, my last point on this particular subject is this. I never blamed Odell Beckham Jr. or those guys that much. I blamed Victor Cruz. And I like Victor Cruz a lot. I think he's a real good brother. My whole point is, you're a champion. You know what this takes. You can't, and you in New York, you've been in New York, so you know how this story will blow out of proportion. That was my only thing with it, but that's all I've got to say about that. Rashad Jennings right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80, 98.7 FM in New York, and 710 ESPN LA. So being here at the Super Bowl, looking at this matchup between New England and Atlanta, what enters your mind? What's the thing that's not being talked about enough that needs to be talked about as it pertains to this matchup?
It's a good game. I mean, you got two teams that obviously earn the right to be in the Super Bowl. One, you got a hot team in Atlanta Falcons that's putting up some points every single week in, week out, and obviously you have somebody who's a historical coach and quarterback over there that's arguably one of the best, if not the best, to play the game. So there's a lot of talk about that, but I'm excited to see the running backs for Atlanta. I think they're going to make the biggest difference in this football game because they can catch out the backfield. Obviously they can block. They can get the hitting yardages, the 4 ugly yards up the middle. They can get outside. But when you have somebody that can catch the football out the backfield and make a defensive coordinator have to make a decision, do I want to play 6 in the box or bring in an extra nickel, a lighter guy, and then have them run the ball? Or do I want to bring in 7, have 7 in the box, potentially 8, and let Julio run around with Sanu and the other wide receivers that they have? So I think that's a big matchup. But special teams play is never talked about. And I can bet your bottom dollar, whoever make the biggest special team play or the mistake first is going to lose momentum. And because we got 2 high-caliber offenses, I think that's going to make the biggest difference in the game.
When do we make the decision to decide on talent or experience? As a football player, football analyst, when do you dissect it to a point where you pick one over the other? How do you know?
Talent versus experience.
Because that's what I look at Atlanta and New England.
Yeah, it is. And that goes kind of like with the pressure, too. That's a good question about it, too. And I feel like if anybody, Atlanta got the most pressure and New England got the most distractions right now in this game.
How does New England have the most distractions?
Just because of all the stuff, with Brady. Can he win again? If the trophy, if this, if that, if it's so many questions outside of just talking about team, football, everybody. It's not about everybody over there. It's about Brady. But when you talk about the Falcons, it's team, it's brotherhood. And so, that's how I look at it. Obviously, they're both going to rub that off, and when after the national anthem, it's time to play football. But experience versus talent, I think it depends on the maturity level of that talent, and it depends on the discipline of that experience. And,
it's interesting you say that, because if it were about anybody else in New England, I would consider it a distraction. But because it's all about Brady, because of the Deflategate and the 4-game suspension, I'm like, that's the dude you talking about being distracted? I can't see that being a factor. I can't see that. What do you say to that?
Well, he's focused. I mean, he's a guy that obviously shown through the course of his career that he knows how to handle the opinions of people and do nothing but throw effort at his craft. And so he's unwaverable. He's shown that throughout his career, and I think he's going to continue to do that. But as far as a team, that's what I'm saying. As a team, on the outside view, it looks like they have the most distractions. Just like it looked like we had distractions with the boat issue, but inside obviously.
Personally, when it comes to your New York Giants, the hell with the distractions. I think it's the cold weather. I think if you were playing in a warmer weather environment instead of Lambeau Field. How cold was it that day at Lambeau Field?
It was frozen out there. It was cold. It was cold. One of the coldest games I played in throughout my career, other than the one in Minnesota last year.
No question.
But it plays a factor.
I got you.
But it's two teams. It's two teams playing in it.
What about you, man? How's life for you with the New York Giants? You've been there a couple of years now. You're doing your thing. How you feeling about it? You're 31 years of age. Every time somebody talks about a running back, the first thing they bring up is Cat's age. Cat's age. They question everything. I can't stand it. Ageism is what I call it now. It's ageism against running backs. You're 30. Oh, you're done. You're 30. It's over. Talk to me about yourself and and how you're looking at your future, whether it be with the New York Giants or anybody else.
Yeah, so I'm healthy. In the latter years of my career, I've learned how to take care of my body more and more and more and more. Mm-hmm. And being able to stay healthy is something that's huge to the game, especially when you're playing running back and being durable. Continue to get smarter. I didn't have the kind of year that I wanted. Mm-hmm. I didn't have the kind of year I trained for. Mm-hmm. And so going back into it, every single year, your job is to go prove one GM, one organization right. I say the same thing every single year coming out of a season since my rookie year. Go in, earn the respect of the team, organization, fight for wins. Coming out, evaluate yourself, train, and get better for next season. Same thing I'm doing this season. It's just you're going to have a vet that's pissed off at what the performance was last year and ready to go prove a lot of people wrong.
When you look at the New York Giants, I will never insult Eli Manning by saying it's time to move on. The man ain't missed a game in 12, 13 years. Hasn't missed a game. All right, a start. Just a model of consistency, dependability, et cetera, et cetera. But I do watch the game evolving. I do look at outside of a Tom Brady, a Drew Brees, for example. Everybody else, I mean, if you're going to be great at this game at the quarterback position, you got to be able to run. Eli Manning is that stationary quarterback. What should we think about that moving forward, just in terms of how the game has evolved and how it may affect what the Giants need to do moving forward?
You do have some mobile quarterbacks in the NFL that's, if you're able to extend the play from 3 to 4 seconds to that 6 to 8 range, it makes DB's life a nightmare. It's hard to run around with these receivers that long. And I think, obviously, Aaron Rodgers was king of that throughout the year. Right. But, stationary quarterbacks, as you want to say, I think Tom Brady is considered a stationary quarterback, but the way he moves in the pocket to extend the plays, to get it out quick, he understands his system. He knows where everybody going to be, and he got eyes. So I think he has the ability to extend plays, and I think the same thing with Eli. He can extend the plays in the pocket. Mm-hmm. So we're going to continue to ride him, man. He's an engineer of our offense. Right. We don't see it any different. Obviously, you want to always, no matter what, plan for future. So what that will look like, it depends on what the GM and everybody feel. But, Eli's our guy, no doubt.
Y'all going to be back next year?
Yes.
You going to win the division so I don't have to hear from Cowboy fans?
You ain't got to hear from Cowboy fans.
You going to do that for me?
Yeah,
we're going to do that for me?
Yeah, we're going to make it to the dance again and not have 2 left feet this time.
All right. You staying for the Super Bowl?
I'm leaving Sunday morning.
Okay.
Sunday morning. I gotta get out the atmosphere.
Who you out here working with right now? Just chilling?
Yeah, no, I got a couple different things. Obviously with my foundation, CiRGlG Foundation, .org, to read more about it. All the things that I'm doing here to prayerfully to win the Byron Wizard White Award. And so that's an honor, man. I always say it's nothing special about me. I'm just in a special position, and I get to unmask myself and utilize it towards the good.
All right.
Doing some stuff with Rise about the racial issues.
Yeah.
And having fun, man. Spreading love everywhere.
Yeah. We did a panel together last year, man. Yeah. It was good rapping you that day. All the best to you moving forward, man.
Appreciate it.
Feel free to reach out anytime. It's Rashad Jennifer, the New York Giants, right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. The biggest medical center on earth isn't found on the East Coast or the West Coast. It's found in Houston, Texas, America's third coast. Houston is home to the Texas Medical Center, or as they call it, TMC. It's the largest medical city on the planet. Each year, the TMC's 21 hospitals serve over 8 million patients. Its 3 medical schools and 6 nursing schools educate tomorrow's medical leaders. More doctors, nurses, and scientists work at the TMC than any other site in the world. With over 100,000 employees, it's the 8th largest business district in America. Every 3 minutes, a surgery begins at the TMC. Every 20 minutes, a baby is born. The Texas Medical Center leads the world in clinical research. TMC doctors and scientists are at the forefront of life-saving medical advances, developing new treatments, drugs, and devices to improve the health of humanity. So find out more about the innovations happening at the Texas Medical Center at tnc.edu. Your phone calls and more continue with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Thomas on the drive. Pull-up jumper. It's good. Isaiah Thomas.
Even at 5'9", Isaiah Thomas is among the NBA's leaders in points per game, dropping close to 30 a night.
Gets the Celtics a lead.
Plus, he's leading the Celtics to a top seed in the East.
Filthy jam by DeAndre Jordan.
This Sunday, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, and the Clippers come to Boston. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I can't even express to Los Angeles enough, to the city of Los Angeles, to the NBA community, how special today is. Earvin Magic Johnson has agreed to return to the Los Angeles Lakers as an advisor on all basketball and business-related matters for the Los Angeles Lakers. I think the only thing better than this is if Magic Johnson had a group together and acquired ownership. Because the objective here is to minimize the impact of Jim Buss. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have made a pledge to people that I know that are dear friends of mine, that I love, that are very, very closely connected to the Los Angeles Lakers, that I would not excoriate Jim Buss the way that I usually have. I said I'm going to be nice. But you have to understand why I have been critical of this man so many years. I don't even go as far as to question the man's basketball acumen. My issue with Jim Buss is that I believe firmly that he allowed his personal feelings to get in the way of his professional judgment, and that is why the Los Angeles Lakers stink. Let me be clear. They stink. Luke Walton does not stink. That was a good hire. Some of the individual talent that they have on the roster does not stink because they have players. What they don't have is a team, not a good team, because Jim Buss' presence there has contaminated, if flat out has eviscerated the culture that exists within the Lakers organization. Dwight Howard, Phil Jackson. Those things matter. Yeah, you could have got Chris Paul if the NBA didn't intervene, but damn it, let me show y'all how idiotic the Lakers were. Everybody sits up there and says when Commissioner David Stern was in play, when he was the commissioner before Adam Silver came on board, and Commissioner David Stern was presiding over the NBA, and they were essentially the de facto owners of the New Orleans Hornets before they became the Pelicans. Remember that trade that had Chris Paul going to the Los Angeles Lakers that the commissioner and David Stern nixed? Everybody was saying, oh, the commissioner got too involved, blah, blah, blah. You're idiots. That's not the problem. That wasn't the problem. You know what the problem was? The deal was too good to be true. Because as Dan Gilbert wrote in his letter to the commissioner, which was in the aftermath of LeBron James departing from Cleveland to Miami, infuriating owners everywhere, Dan Gilbert said they got to have it all. Because they not only were the Lakers getting Chris Paul, but they were actually saving cap space in the process. So what am I complaining about? I'm saying how stupid can you be? The eye of the storm is watching you and is upon you. Chris Paul was not only a superstar point guard, that where there would be no justification for getting him while still saving cap space, but he was also best friends and the godfather to LeBron James' children. So if you're Dan Gilbert and you're raising holy hell and everybody in the league knows you're raising holy hell, why would you turn around if you're the Lakers and try to pull off a heist I mean, that's like walking into a bank without a mask, announcing to the tellers, I'm about to take all your money. I mean, how stupid can you be? That's just stupid. And that's exactly what Jim Buss and the Lakers did, which is exactly the point that I'm trying to make. You got to play chess, not checkers. If you know the league is watching and you know the owners are watching and they're still furious over LeBron James leaving for Miami, why would you be so flagrant in pulling off a heist for Chris Paul? You're supposed to throw a bone to the other teams to make it look good. But no, not Jim Buss, because I want to show how brilliant I am. I want to show that I'm a decent heir apparent to my father, the late Dr. Buss. I want to show who wasn't late by the time I recall at that particular moment in time. I mean, you got to be kidding me. But that's what he did. How about Dwight Howard? Dwight Howard is with the Lakers. He says, y'all, I don't want to leave. This is supposed to be my team. Because Kobe's on his way out. Bring back Phil. Jim Buss goes to Phil's home with Mitch Kupchak. They meet with Phil. The man says, I'm going to get back to you, or we need a decision by Monday. And Sunday night, backdoored Phil and brought in Mike D'Antoni. And after they did that, that also meant they lost Dwight Howard. Now, not that he's anything to brag about at this particular moment in time, but do y'all get my point? The stupidity of the Los Angeles Lakers, in particular Jim Buss, has been too alarming to ignore. So Jeannie Buss, who should have fired her brother, decided to do the next best thing. Actually, the next best thing. Because the next best thing would be to sell a team and get an owner in there that's really got deep pockets, since you're going against Ballmer and the Clippers, who's a billionaire. But since you don't want to do that and still want to have your mom and pop operation, she did the next best thing. And that's bring back Irvin Magic Johnson. And you know what that means, ladies and gentlemen? We might question some Laker basketball decisions, but what we will not question is whether or not somebody there knows basketball. It's official. They got a dude that knows basketball. And maybe, just maybe, some of you idiots will finally see that Jim Buss needs to take his behind down the block to Hooters, where he belongs, and leaves the real basketball decisions to somebody who actually knows and cares. Damn right I said it. This is the flagship station for the Los Angeles Lakers, and I don't give a damn. I said what I said. I mean what I mean. Your phone calls and more up next with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! I'll get back to your phone calls in just a few, but not before I talk to my next guest, because this dude is a Hall of Famer as far as I'm concerned. We will be hearing about that in the years to come. There is no doubt in my mind about it. Starred at Michigan, starred in the NFL, one of the elite cornerbacks in NFL history, the one and only Charles Woodson, my colleague right here at ESPN. He's on the line with us right now. What's going on, Big Time? How you doing, man?
Stephen A., what's happening, man?
Man, let me tell you something. First of all, congratulations on the year you have, and thank you for the great job you've been doing for ESPN all year, first of all. Secondly,
thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Secondly, and more importantly, Tim Brown started something. I couldn't wait to talk to you today because he brought this up. He said the greatness of the New England Patriots, no matter what we're seeing, if it had not been for that tuck rule, it wouldn't even be to this level. If anybody could speak to that, it's a former Oakland Raider that played in that game himself, the one and only Charles Woodson. What is your response to that?
Well, this is what he's speaking to, what I think, and I talked about it actually this morning because I had made the comment that Tom Brady owes me this and that and whatever because of that play. But if you think about it, if they don't overturn that call, right,
They don't go on to win the Super Bowl that year. Now, that year, Brady supplanted Drew Bledsoe as the quarterback. So let's just think about the New England Patriots. What do they do at that time? Do they go with the future, with Tom Brady, or do they go back the next year with Drew Bledsoe? So you never know how that thing would have turned out. And if that happens, then the streak that they went on initially with the playoffs and going on to win the back-to-back Super Bowls, that doesn't happen. So the genesis of it started with that play, and everything that happened after it, of course they had to go out and earn, but it started that night.
Charles Woodson right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. So with that being said, from an emotional standpoint, we all know the analytical football analyst that you are and how you can dissect things objectively. But from a subjective standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, how does that game, that moment, those circumstances, the results still affect you?
You know what? I mean, at the present moment, it doesn't affect me. But at the time that it happened, it was such a to be at the highest point at one moment, and then let's say 20 minutes later you at the lowest point. So that play happens, knock the ball out of his hands, we recover the fumble. The game's over. Our offense is going to walk onto the field. We're going to run the clock out, take the kneel downs or whatnot, and we're going on to the next game. Right? And so they replay the call, and then all of a sudden they come back, they overturn it. And at that very moment, man, you could kind of feel, just this, it was a crazy feeling that came over our sideline. It kind of deflated us because we always used to talk about how the league used to be against the Oakland Raiders. And we felt like that was the league's way of getting back at us at that moment, getting back at Al Davis. We used to always talk about his 31 other teams, and then there's the Oakland Raiders. So at that very moment, it was hurtful because in this game, man, it's all about the opportunity. We felt like that there was an opportunity that was taken from us. We felt deliberately, taken from us at the time, man. And, in the days and the months after that, man, we were scarred, man, because of that play. But time goes on, and those wounds heal. At this moment, man, I talk about it because I have to. But other than that, man, I don't worry about it no more.
Charles Woodson right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio. Let's get into this Super Bowl matchup because, your expertise on this level is desperately needed. I look at the Atlanta Falcons right now. What I see is a secondary with athletic studs, but incredibly inexperienced, going up against the master. That would happen to be Tom Brady. What are your thoughts? This Tom Brady against this Atlanta secondary.
Yeah, young guys in the secondary, athletic as you mentioned, and young and inexperienced. But the thing I would say is I just have to take the words of their coach. Dan Quinn. He said just over the course of the year, he's watched these young guys grow as players, but especially with their communication out there on the field during practice. When they first started out, he said, man, you could hear a pin drop out there on the field when those guys when they were out there because they were apprehensive about making calls or making a check and just not quite knowing what the defense was asking them to do. And he said as the season went along, those guys started to communicate more, and that's very important for your strong safety to communicate with the backers when he's coming down into the box and getting calls to your corners and let them know if they don't get to play because they're on the outside of the defense. It's very important for those guys to communicate and to communicate with each other and become comfortable in the defense. And so, the last part of the season, they played really well, man. They made some plays, man. I look at the play that the young corner made on Rapowski in the red zone against the Packers, stripping that ball out. That's the kind of plays you need out of your team to build confidence. And that's a young guy. It's a young rookie corner out there making that play. So these guys are young, but I don't think they're scared of the moment. And I think that's going to be the important thing going out there and playing against Brady. Brady's going to make his plays. That goes without saying. But how many plays do you make to counter what Brady does is going to be the important thing. And I think these guys are primed for it.
I'm just looking at some of these guys, right? I'm thinking about it. I throw out these names at you, right? Deion Jones, he's impressive. Keanu Neal, he's impressive. Ricardo Allen, he could be a bit impressive. Robert Alford, Brian Poole, Vic Beasley, Devondre Campbell, all of these guys, right? You see these names I gave you, Charles Woodson?
Yeah.
Now let me give you their age. 22, 21, 24, 23 in the Super Bowl against Brady. You see where I'm going?
Yep.
That's what I'm worried about.
I see where you're going, man, and I understand completely what you're saying. But I don't want to underestimate the youth of these guys and what that brings to the table. What these guys have to do out there on the field is not go out there, try to go out there and not let the moment be too big, and I don't think they will make the moment too big. But the important thing for these guys, man, is just fly around. Fly around. If you fly around and you hit people and you break up passes and you come up with a fumble here or there, you get the ball back for your offense at any point in this game and let Matt Ryan operate this offense, man, I'm telling you, man, watch out. These Atlanta Falcons, I think, are Stephen A. They kind of got me leaning a little bit. You know,
that's exactly where I was going with my next question.
All the way over, man,
you sound like you're about tilted over towards Atlanta winning this game.
Man, I'm leaning, man. It's hard for me to go against my guy, man. You know, Brady's my guy, man. It's hard to do it, but these Falcons, man, I feel like they got something special, man, and right at the right time.
Charles Woodson, how the hell is Brady your guy when you just finished talking about you playing for the Oakland Raiders and what happened to you with that whole Tuck rule thing? How the hell is Brady your guy? What does that mean?
That's my dude, man. We got history, man. We go a long way back, man, before the Tuck rule and all that stuff, man. So he's still my guy.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never betted against Brady in the game, man. Never have, man. I said I never will. But like I say, I'm leaning, man.
Well, I'm just
I don't know what to do right now, Stephen.
I'm just messing with you. I mean, you started Michigan. This brother went to Michigan. You see what I'm saying? I mean, of course you got love for him. You know, I understand. I understand. That's that Wolverine love going on right there. We're talking to Charles Woodson right here. I'm sorry, Charles?
I said go blue.
Let me ask you this before I let you go. Jim Harbaugh, he's on the record talking about Brady, greatest football player ever. He didn't even stop at quarterback. Your thoughts about that? Is he right?
I completely agree, 100%.
Wow.
If you look at the fact that Brady's been in the NFL for, I believe it's 15 seasons, 14, 15, whatever it's been, he's been to the Super Bowl in half of the time he's been in the NFL, Stephen A.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that says a lot. I don't care how many he's gone and lost. He's won 4, but half of his career, he's been in the Super Bowl or he's been in the conference championship almost every year of his career. Man, that is unheard of. And if you think about the receiver they have on their team, Hogan, do you know who Hogan is without Tom Brady? No.
No, I do not.
That's what he brings to the table. He's a star that's able to make stars out of other guys that wouldn't be stars otherwise.
But doesn't it bug you out, Charles, that he could potentially win with the likes of Hogan, but lose with a Randy Moss? Doesn't that bug you out?
Well, when you look at that, man, you got to tip your hat to the Giants defense, man. What those guys were doing with Tuck and Osi and that front four, I mean, those guys were unbelievable, man. That was a special team. So I can definitely see it, because if you can get to any quarterback, you got a chance. And them dudes right there, man, when they was pinning their ears back and rushing Brady, they were getting to him and they was hitting hard, man. So I can see that. But right now, Brady's not facing that type of front. These guys are good. He won't be facing that. So like I say, he's going to make his plays.
Well,
but you give Brady time, man, he'll make anybody around him better.
That's where I was going with you. Do you believe that these boys in Atlanta will have an opportunity to get at Brady the way Justin Tuck and O.C. Umenyiora and Strahan and the crew got at him?
Well, it's going to be, it's a tough task. Of course, it's going to be up to guys on the second level and third level to get in those throwing lanes, compete with the receivers and give those guys time to get to him, because Brady's getting the ball out at, probably under 2 seconds, so he doesn't have the ball in his hands long, which doesn't give your ends, your Freeneys and your Vic Beasleys a chance to get to him. So it's going to be a team effort between the front end and back end, man, to not allow him to just pick them apart and get the ball out so quickly, and give your big dogs a chance to eat.
Charles Woodson, always appreciate you, man. Thanks so much. You're leaning heavily, tilting significantly towards the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, you are. I'm going to tell Brady. I'm going to tell him. Take it easy, bro. Take it easy, man.
All right, man.
The one and only Charles Woodson, NFL analyst for ESPN, NFL Countdown, not to mention, obviously, a future Hall of Famer, one of the great players to ever play in NFL history. Right here with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. 866-729-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 866-729-3776. Your phone calls to close out the show in a minute. It's Stephen A. ESPN style.
Reverse jab brings them to their feet here in Cleveland.
LeBron James and the Cavaliers once again have the best record in the Eastern Conference and are storming toward the 1 seed.
Hits it at the buzzer.
Do they have what it takes to repeat as champions?
Kyrie Irving. Come on. Hangs and hooks it in. Are you kidding me?
Seriously? This Saturday night, they head to the Garden to face the Knicks. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
This kind of music, you don't hear this everywhere, y'all. It just don't go down like this. Oh, excuse me. What's your name? Ooh. Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, coming at you as I love to do every weekday afternoon on ESPN Radio, 98.7 FM, New York City, 710 ESPN LA, and of course, Sirius XM, ESPN Radio, Channel 80. 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Nuno, my computer is frozen here. I need your help getting to my callers. Who's next? Jake, who's that in L.A.? Mike in L.A., you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up?
Stephen A., love your show, whether you're wearing the hat as a reporter, a journalist, or a commentator. I know you're bringing it 100%. I don't always agree with you, but I love your passion. Let's talk about Magic coming back to the Lakers. Now, I love Magic. Love him like anybody can. Been a Laker fan for 40 years and more. But I think that his equity as Magic would have been greater as an advisor 4 years ago, and it's coming on 4 years, the 18th of February that
I agree with that.
Passed.
I agree with that.
And, and a lot of these decisions, I mean, it's amazing how, it's not amazing how you know all these, the chronological timeline of what Jim Buss has done. And I appreciate, and it's great to give him a pass at what he's done in selecting D'Antoni, who was coming off a knee surgery, not on anybody's radar, to choose him at 12:30 at night on a Sunday when all he had to do was wait till Monday for Phil Jackson.
He backdoored Phil.
And all the other chronology that you talk about. But I just don't know how, with today's collective bargaining agreement and these younger players.
Stop sweating it, man. Stop sweating it, man. Mike, we'll talk about this tomorrow. I got to go. Don't sweat it. You know, with that new money, that new TV money, the cap being elevated and what have you, you ain't even got to worry about that. Bottom line is Los Angeles got somebody that knows basketball and basketball. Not to say that Mitch Kupchak did not, but we all know Mitch Kupchak doesn't have the power. Magic Johnson is his own man. I am very, very ecstatic, as you should be, that he is back. CB in Los Angeles, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick. Go ahead, CB.
Okay, hey, how you doing there, Stephen? Yeah, I'm very excited and enthralled with Magic's the position and helping the Lakers. Lord knows that we need it, after, winning 15, 16 games. Boy, we've been wetting the bed this year, but they're young.
Lenny in North Carolina, you literally got like 30 seconds. My apologies, Lenny. Go ahead.
Hey, brother, what's going on? I think you and Max need to have your card pulled to talk about the greatest of all time, and y'all never mentioned Walter Payton. You have lost your mind. You need to call Frazier Crane.
You stop
and
it,
get on
Lenny.
his radio
I'm
show.
not going to. Lenny, you call me back tomorrow. I can't believe you just called me. You called up to argue on behalf of Walter Payton? I know the man is great. God bless him. God rest his soul. But come on. Come on. Barry Sanders, Gail Sayers, Jim Brown. Stop it, Lenny. I got to go. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. I can't believe I ended my show that way. Lenny's crazy.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on SiriusXM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.
Sunday, DeAndre Jordan and the Clippers head to Boston to face Isaiah Thomas and the Celtics. Coverage begins at 1 Eastern on ABC and on ESPN Radio. Presented by GNC.